A common problem that map makers face is the fact that they might make a map that is essentially too large to make for an enjoyable strategy experience. So, Pac-Man is probably one of the best examples of a map that's just it's too large. Like even in a two versus two match, it's not going to be very exciting because 90% of your drive, 90% of your time is basically just getting from point A to point B. It's tedious. It's just not a very good map because it's too large. So we can change this now with the new functions of the Battlezone map editor, bzmap.io. So I'm going to go ahead and import this map into the workspace. And we can see that this is a 2K map. Now, Battlezone maps can be 1280 by 1280. That's the minimum size, all the way up to 5120 by 5120. So the fact that this is a 2K map and it's too large uh, essentially means you want to keep your maps towards the smaller range that you can make your maps. Don't make your map too large, but you can change things around. So we're going to go ahead and press the map size down button, and we've effectively halved the size of our map with just one button press. Let's export it and see what this looks like. Now, one caveat to this is that when you scale down your map and just restart, you're going to be violently launched towards the middle of the map because everything that all the objects in the map are still in their original locations, including the player spawn. So you're generally going to use the resize functionality expecting to have to replace all of the objects, unfortunately. So you'll probably delete the bzn file and you'll have to just replace all of the objects for the time being until I can get object placement functionality working in the map editor. But we can see that this is already a much better map. It doesn't feel like it takes me forever to get from point A to point B, but it still is spacious enough to make for a pretty good strategy experience. Now, let's go a little bit further with that. So it looks like all of these walls are like way too low now. Like these are a joke. Like my wingman can probably get over some of these hills, and I think the original intent of this map was to make these walls pretty much impassable or impractical to jump over. So let's address that. Now, you could, of course, just select the map and scale it upward and then export it again. And I'm going to resave the map so that I don't get violently launched again. So we're just going to resave it and then restart. Okay, now the walls are much higher, so this is a little bit closer to what I would like to have. But one other thing is that these walls are kind of like spiky and stuff, and also like perhaps the walls are they're not quite smoothed out enough. Like it feels like if I bump into any one of these walls, it's going to abruptly jolt my tank in a particular direction. So maybe we can scale the walls in a different way, one that kind of looks more uniform than what it does here. So let's investigate. So what I'll do is I'll undo my changes, and let me introduce you to vertex editing in Blender. So you can modify individual polygons, points, and edges by going into edit mode. So up in the left corner, you can click and go into edit mode. And I think for the purposes of Battlezone map editing, 9 times out of 10 you're going to want to be in wireframe mode. So we're going to click on this little shader ball here. And orthographic views can be really helpful too. So if we click on one of these circles here, We'll just use the negative y-axis. We'll see it gives us a a side view of the entire map. So um, let's see if we can scale the map up this way so that it looks a little bit better and it feels a little bit better too. So I'm going to make sure that I'm in vertex editing mode. And I'm going to just make sure that I have this tool selected. And I'm going to click drag to select all the vertex points just along the bottom of the map. Okay. Now, if it's all spammy blue for you, you can click on this little arrow here and disable indices, because they're not very useful here, so we're not going to display them. So we'll turn those off. So now box selections made in an orthographic view while in wireframe mode will penetrate through the object. So my selection has basically just passed through my entire terrain, so that now I have all of these points selected. And now I can just follow this up with like the move tool and just move this up. There we go. Yeah, maybe I can flatten it a little bit too. So I can click the scale button and just flatten it so that it's not quite as harsh. All right. And we're left with, like, I think it's a slightly better result. So if I go back into object mode and turn on, viewport shading, we'll see that it's left the edges slightly rounded, so that like there's like your units aren't going to get stuck along the edges of this terrain nearly as much as if it were more jarring. I should say. So you know what I mean. Just pretend you know what I mean. Yes. And then you can follow that up with any other blemishes that you might want to paint out. Like we can kind of see that there's like little bumps here and there, and we can always go into sculpting and use the flatten tool. Just go in there and just smooth out whatever we want. So like right here, there's a lot of stuff here, and I could just flatten that out. There's little bumps here and there that I can just get rid of if I want it like a perfectly flat ground to this level. There you go. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. Okay, I'm just going to check this over one more time. Yeah, that works for me. Okay, so there's our new map. And we could even use the flatten tool to fix blemishes like this, where like I might want this part to be one continuous piece rather than be like a jarring spike like that. So might need to make the brush quite wide in order to make that work, though. Yeah, I guess this brush does have its limits, so if it's like really deep like that, you might have to redo the move operation and make sure that those particular polygons are selected. Oh well. But there's that. So I'm just going to save this version of the map. So we'll go to Layout, and we'll just export the map, reload it. Never mind that error message. And there we go. We have like an updated map that has like really high walls, and the base of these walls aren't too bad either. Like I don't think like rounded bases to these plateaus are going to be nearly as harsh on the AI as they normally would be, because we moved it in that way. So yeah, that's basically kind of like a mini tutorial on how to rescale a map and change it in a way that kind of improves on the map. And the step from here would be to essentially just replace all of the objects and get it up and go. All right. Cheers.